Joining Morning Rush right now with analysis and context on the case is trial attorney Jamie White. Jamie, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So let's go ahead and start with closing arguments in this case, Jamie. The defense placing the blame on Arbery for his death, saying that he was shot in self-defense after not complying with a citizen's arrest. So what do you make of the prosecution's challenge to this argument?
Well, I think the prosecution is right on. I mean, this clearly was not a citizen's arrest. In order to have a citizen's arrest, at least in the state of Georgia, you have to be present and see the actual crime committed, or have immediate knowledge of that crime being committed, and it has to be a felony. You know, at best, here we have Mr. Arbery was trespassing on a site that multiple people were also trespassing on. So the idea that there was a citizen arrest in this case is, quite frankly, absurd.
And now the case obviously has gone to the jury. They deliberated for 6 hours yesterday. I think shortly they're going to begin day 2 of deliberation. So what aspect of the case do you think that they're going to spend the most time focusing on?
Well, I think, the time that's gone by so far is not troubling to me at this point in time. There are 3 defendants. Although they're all charged with similar crimes, they do come to the table with different fact patterns. Clearly, there's a shooter, there's an accomplice, and then you have Mr. Bryan, who, also arguably aided and abetted. So I think the jury is going to spend a significant amount of time looking at all of the individual actors and what role they played. I know people are anxious, but I would not be surprised if they spent another day working through these particular set of facts.
Well, let's go ahead and spend some time with that. I mean, there are 3 defendants in this case. They're charged with 9 counts each. Let's go over some of those charges. How long is this going to take? I mean, what kind of outcome do you anticipate here?
Well, I think they're going to want to get it right. And as well they should. I don't think it would be unusual for them to take another day or 2. I think if we get into a 4th day, there may be some reason for concern. These counts are very serious, but they're really boiled down to whether or not there's any justification. I mean, there's no question. Mr. McMichaels admitted on the stand that he shot and killed Mr. Arbery, right? So, we don't have to worry about who did it, when they did it, and how they did it. The only question for this jury is whether or not it was justified. And if, in fact, they find that there was no citizen's arrest, then I don't think we ever get to the issue of self-defense. I know that there's been some argument made that Mr. Arbery posed some threat, and therefore self-defense may be justified, but, quite frankly, that is ridiculous. These men cornered, they hunted him down, they were armed, he was not. And the idea that he would try to take a shotgun from somebody who was chasing him through a neighborhood should justify his death is absurd. And I think the jury will find the same conclusion.
All right. Jury deliberations begin again at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Trial attorney Jamie White, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.